Welcome once again to this YouTube channel. Today we're going to look at the wrap row and wrap column functions. What do these functions do? We're going to look at the basics of the wrap row and the wrap column function. Then we look at the use cases for the wrap row, where you have data in this format and you want to change it to this format. And then we also look at the wrap column function use case, where you have this data and you want to change it to a more appropriate format. And lastly, I'm going to look at a very complex example where I'm going to combine the wrap row and wrap column functions with other Google Sheet functions with me, and we see how we can accomplish this. We have data in this format. We want to arrange it into this format where all the dates complete. Here we have 3 dates, 3 products, 3 amounts. So we want at the end of the day to have all the dates in this column, all the products in that column, and all the amounts in the column E. More complex example, it cannot be accomplished by only wrap row and wrap column functions. You need to use a combination of functions to accomplish this. I'll also tell you cases where the wrap row function works and cases where it does not work. So let's start off with the basics. So I'm going to say wrap column or wrap rows. So you have a data set, this format, but you want to change it into maybe 2 rows, 2 values per row. So what you do, you have specified the first argument, data, and the data has to be in a single row or a single column. Very important. Comma. Then the next argument, if you see from the docs, is the count. In this, I want to wrap the rows, but in those, how many values do I want in a row? So if I want 2 values in a row, I put that. I'll come back to this later on. Press enter, and there you go. So I've changed this one single row into multiple rows where each row has 2. So this 2 here indicates how many you want in a row. Now, when you do that, you find there is NA here. Now, because there are 6 values, it ends here, and where there's no value, it puts NA. So to counter this is where the last argument comes in. And the last argument is, in case there's no value, what value do we put? So you can say empty space or null, or just put null, or whichever value, or an empty space. And when you say null, then it puts you null there. Or you can say, if there's no value, leave an empty space, and there it does like so. So in basically, that's what the wrap row function does. Let's move on to the wrap column. So the wrap columns. So here the range is the same. This is our range. Now in each column, how many values do we want? So here we had 3 values in a column. This is a column, it has 3 values. So if you want 2 values in a column, so you put 2. And then if there are no values, if there's a space, return null, press, and there you go. So in this column, we want 2 values, and it completes here. Because there's no value, it returns null. If you don't put this null, it will return NA, as I showed you in the previous example. So that is in basics what the wrap column and wrap row function do. I also want to show you a case where it's not going to work. Now, if I say wrap rows, then I select these 2 rows of data, and then I say 2. This one is not gonna work. Why is it not working? It requires a single row or a single column. It must be a single row or a single column. That's when the wrap row function works. It works only on a single row and single column. Now that we have seen the basics of the wrap row function and the column function, wrap column function, let's move on to use cases. How do we use these in the real world? We need to know the basics, but also more importantly, how do you apply it in the real world? So in some cases, you can copy data from your system and it comes disorganized like this, where it has a date, product, amount, date, product, amount, date, product, amount. So it follows that and goes all down. Now, our objective is we want it to be in a proper format where all the dates go in this column, all the products go in this column, and all the amounts in this column. Why would you want that? It is good for data analysis. So I have my data in this format. I want them to convert it into this format. Drop rows, I'll have to just select your data set here, then comma. The next question is for each of these rows, because I'm using the wrap row function for each of these rows, how many do I want? I want 3 values. I want the date, the product name, and the amount. So I need 3. And if there is nothing, just leave a space, press enter, and there you go. So you find that all your dates are in this column, product in this column, and amounts in this column. So let's look at this example, and we're using the wrap column function. So what we're gonna do is how do we want our data to appear? We want this item to appear here, then the next sales here, then cost of sales, then gross profit. Then these quotas here will be down here and their values like so. So what we do, we say wrap columns. So we select our data set here, then comma. How many values do you need on a column? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Need each column is going to have 5 values. This will be one column. This will be the second column. This will be the third column. So we say 5, then press enter. So here we have our quota. Here we have our sales. You can see all our sales here, come here. Cost of sales is values here, here, and lastly, our gross profit. This is how you can use columns function to achieve this. Next, let's look at a more complex example. Here we can't use the wrap row and wrap column functions alone. We need to use a combination of functions. So the way the data is arranged, we have the dates, the products, the amounts, then again the dates, products, amounts, and so on. But I want my data to be in this format. So let's see how we can do this. I'm going to take it in simple steps, then later on, I'm gonna wrap it up. So let's use the wrap column function, and on each column, because we want all the dates here, we're going to put, we're going to specify our data set here, comma, and then if we try a 3 here, and there you go. So all our dates are here. This product 1 relates to 1st of January 2023, this product 2 2nd, and then like that. So this is how it appears. Remember, we want all the dates here, all the products here, and all the amounts in this column. Now, it looks like I will also need to come again and say wrap rows. But remember that this function takes only one row. So I'll just pick one row like this. And then how many values I want in a row? There are 3. So when I do that, the entire row here is converted into this format. Now, that means I'll have to go and do for the second and also do for the third and fourth. But if you have a long data set, again, that one becomes inefficient, and I want to avoid inefficiency in this channel. So what do we do? So I want to combine this one and this function here. So what I'll do, I'll come and copy this, because the results of these are the ones that I'm using in this function. And this, where am I using those results? I'm using them right here. But I can't just put them there because it's gonna bring 3 columns. Let me show you. It's going to give me an error. Yes, this is what I was telling you. It says this is a single function. In other words, this function here, inside here, is the same as what returns these 3 rows. And as I told you from the start, the wrap row or wrap column function does not allow 3 rows. It has to be a single column or a single row. So this one is returning me 3 of them, the way they are here, and that's why it's being rejected here. So to solve that problem, I need to go in and use the index function, give it the data set, and they say return the first row, like so. Then I get my result as so here. So now I need to repeat this for all the other values, okay? I hope you have understood this step. If you have not understood, please ask me in the description how I've achieved this. Maybe as a side note, what I have done is I just said index of the result of this. And I took the first. You see that? This is the same as this. This one is the same as this. Product 1 is the same as that. This is the same as this. So when I say index whatever result I have here, and in this case, it is this function, which I can actually put here. There you go. So you just have to format the date. So I get one row in that format. So this row here is what I'm using to wrap again by 3. So what I'm doing, saying wrap row, and on each row, take this and return 3. And there, so this one condenses into this. So this is what I'm doing right here. Now, that's not all. It has done only 1 row. I need to do for the second and for the third. Now, I need to use another function. Let me first cut this. I have a video on this function. It's called the VStack, where you stack different things on top of the other. So I'm gonna use that VStack. Control V, I paste my first result, which is already converted. All dates in this column, products, and then amounts. Then comma, I'm gonna paste it again. Now this one gives me only the first row, which is this one here. Now the next I want the second row. So I put a 2 there, then a comma, then I stack again. Then here I need the third row, which will be this one here. So I put a 3 there. Then I close my VStack function and press enter. So when I do that, the dates are not formatted well, but I can do this and have them formatted as. So when you do that, then you don't need, maybe I just copy this Put it there. I don't need this. And I have my data set here and my result in this function, as you can see. Okay. So in short, what happens is I first use the wrap column function, which changes, just to wrap up, for those who have not understood, just use this. Then I say I need 3. Then it gives me this format. Okay. Now, I use the wrap row function to wrap this. Okay. I use the wrap rows now to wrap only this. Okay. So when I wrap this, I get this result. I come back and wrap this. I put it here, then wrap, and put here, use the VStack to stack this against what is here against the other one, so that I have one function that does that. So the index, when I say index 1, this index 1 gives me the first row, then I wrap it into 3 columns. Then when I come back onto my function here, I say wrap the second row, this is 2, wraps this row. Then lastly, it also wraps the third row. Then after wrapping the third row, it puts them together using the VStack function. So when you do that, you don't need this, and you also don't need this. And therefore, you have converted this data into this format. More complex, but interesting to try out. Thank you for watching. I hope you have liked this video. Please give me a like, subscribe if you have not, give me your comments. I normally read all the comments that you send me, and see you in the next video. Don't forget to have a great day.